Looking for something to read? Well, these are the books that I've written. Hop on down to the description to find the Amazon links for all 4 of them, and keep your eyes open for more in the future. With that said, on to the video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and I know I said in the last ULTRAMAN BLAZAR video that I wasn't going to be making videos about every single episode, only when an episode really stood out to me or if I thought there was something worth talking about. And it turns out episode 4 is another episode I feel is worth talking about, at least briefly, because I think it introduces some interesting elements, it does start to deliver on certain things, and, well, you'll see what I have to say. So the first interesting thing about this episode is that it highlights the character of Emmy, who we've seen kind of doing stuff throughout the first couple of episodes, but here we really get a sense of what her real role is in Scarred. And it turns out she's basically a spy. Like, we've seen her in different outfits throughout the other episodes that imply she's trying to blend in so she can get more information, but here she is adopting a full-on persona in order to get information about the main human villain of the episode, a guy who it turns out is responsible for making the monster as well as the only thing that can stop it. Well, kinda stop it, and kinda responsible for making it, but I'll get to that in a moment. It's a really interesting aspect to the series. It adds an extra little bit of intrigue for the human characters to do, especially her, because that's her job. How often this is going to be important to the series, I don't know, because it only would really be important if there are human characters that need taking down in addition to the monsters. But this episode demonstrates that Emmy would be the central character in such an episode. Moreover, it further emphasizes how well written the series is, because Emmy is a very likable character. If you're sick of the way female characters are being written in Western media recently, where they basically embrace all of the traits that would otherwise be called toxic masculinity if they were applied to a man, but since there are women doing it, that makes it okay for some reason, you will like Emmy, because she doesn't have that aspect. She is a competent person. She knows what she's doing. In fact, when it seems like she's been caught, it actually turns out that was part of the plan in order to expose the villain. But that doesn't mean she's like the lone wolf who don't need no man or no team and can be completely self-reliant. She still needs to be part of the team. There's a moment where Gento decides to go in and extract her and the villain early, like she was supposed to give a signal, but he decides, nope, I'm going in now. And when he shows up and makes his presence known, she just sort of stands there and says, but I didn't give the signal. And that's the extent of it. She doesn't get mad at him, she doesn't chew him out at the end of the episode. In fact, they seem to be on very good terms at the end. And, you know, she just rolls with it, because it turns out it was a good thing Gento went there. And Gento didn't screw it up, he wasn't incompetent, so you get the sense that the characters are all really being treated as equal in Scarred. The men are men and the women are women for sure, but they are still given equality in terms of how they are treated. And I approve of that sort of writing. The episode also offers a tiny little bit more world building. Like I said, we only know so much about the monsters and the world of this series at this point. It seems like it's a hard reboot of sorts, where Ultraman of any kind is a new concept, basically. But we've also been told that kaiju started showing up in the 60s, specifically 1966, which is when the first Ultraman series aired. Not Ultra Q, not the first Ultra series ever. And kaiju have been showing up pretty much since then. We also learned that Leviera, or rather the creature that was used to make Leviera, this episode's monster, landed from space in 2001. Not only that, but its presence apparently was covered up. So we get just a tiny little bit more to intrigue us about what kind of a world this is. I don't know if it's going to become especially relevant later on, but if it does go someplace, I'm certainly intrigued to see what it is. Also, and this isn't actually revealed in the episode itself, but I feel like it's worth mentioning, At one point while I was looking on Twitter, or should I say X, the other day, I noticed somebody posted something that claimed Blazar's design, specifically the glowing part on the left side of his face, was meant to look like a wound. Like a monster slashed him across the face, and as the light/blood came out, it coagulated into that shape. Once I read that and I looked at the design again, I can't unsee it. I think maybe that is supposed to be what it's supposed to look like. And if so, that's a neat little detail. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up quickly. The episode is also the first official team-up between Ultraman Blazar and Earth Garen, where they are both active members of the fight. Although it's not the full-on tag team that I'm still looking forward to, it is still their first official team-up. Blazar is basically taking on Leviera by himself. He's getting overwhelmed, and the way they bring in Earth Blazar, I admit, is a little bit contrived, because Emmy has the villain, she's getting him out of the way, and they just happen to stop in front of a building that has "Danger Liquid Nitrogen" emblazoned in big English letters on the side. How convenient, especially for a Japanese building. And yet that gives her the idea that maybe they can use that to somehow gain the upper hand, which requires Earth Garen to come in. It kind of had to be that way because Ultraman Blazar had his hands full, and even if he didn't, they don't really know how to communicate with him anyway. So Earth Garen comes in, gets the nitro, and chucks a barrel at it, then blows it up to freeze Leviera, allowing Ultraman Blazar to deliver the killing move. It's an interesting way to set up their dynamic. Like, Earth Garen gets the ball and sets it, Blazar's the one who kicks it over the field goal. It's an interesting way to establish things. Whether or not that's going to be their full dynamic the whole time, I don't know, but that's what they're setting up here. Now that being said, like I said, not a full knockdown, drag-out tag team, but there's still plenty of time for that to happen. Other than that, there are still things I'm waiting for the show to explore that it's not really showing any signs of exploring just yet. Like, I was intrigued by the fact that Gento, the team leader, is the Ultra. He's not just a member of the team, he is in charge of the team. I was wondering whether or not that would somehow be important. So far it hasn't been, which is weird, and I'm wondering if it's actually going to be important later on, because like I said, no evidence has been presented so far that they're actually going to explore it. But I also said that sometimes the Ultra series has a tendency to introduce its themes and really get into them very late in the game. So there is still time. I'm just wondering when it's going to happen, because that was one thing I was looking forward to seeing this series explore. Although, like I said, we're only 4 episodes in. There's still plenty of time to see if Gento's status as team leader and Ultraman is going to cause any sort of conflict. There's still time to see if there will be any pressure from up top for Scar to actually do something without Ultraman's help. There's still time to see Blazar and Earth Garen really go toe-to-toe with an opponent that requires both of them to be fully active and fighting. We will see. I am still enjoying the show so far. I'm still intrigued to see if those themes wind up happening anyway, but even if they don't, it's still a fun time at this point. And that's about all I have to say for episode 4. We will see what happens when the next really intriguing episode debuts. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. Thank you all for watching. If you want to see us keep doing what we're doing, you might consider doing all the usual YouTube things, as well as hopping down to the description to find links to DeviantArt, Patreon, Twitter, and links for the different books in the Tales from the Omni Vault universe. Your support is naturally appreciated. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.